Good evening and thank you for joining WNWO as the community pays tribute to two Toledo firefighters killed in the line of duty. James Dickman and Stephen Machcinski died Sunday while battling an apartment fire in North Toledo.
Now thousands of people have gathered at the SeaGate Convention Center in downtown Toledo this evening for a last alarm memorial service for those fallen heroes.
We can take a picture of that live scene right now if we...
I'd like to welcome the family, members of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, all uniformed personnel, all VIPs and dignitaries, and all our guests here in attendance today. Would you please stand for the posting of the colors and remain standing after that for the singing of the national anthem.
Left over right. Is that my nod? Attention! Present arms! Forward. Left. 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 Right. Left. 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 Left, right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, wait, prepare to post, post, honor guard, present arms.
To see by the dawn's early light what so bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the banner yet wave, o'er the land.
Honor guard, firefighters, order, arms.
Toledo firefighters mass band, right face. Band, right face. By the tap. Quick, march. Please be seated. We are gathered here this evening to honor and celebrate the lives of our two fallen brothers, Stephen Machcinski and James Dickman. My name is John Kaminsky. I'm a battalion chief with the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, and I'm honored to assist with this ceremony this evening to honor our fallen brothers. To the Dickman and Machcinski families, there are no words that can express the sadness and sorrow in our hearts for your loss. Although this is a memorial, it is also a celebration of their lives and service. And we have prepared this program to further honor the families of our fallen, as well as the members of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department. We gather here as a community of friends and as neighbors, brothers and sisters, in honor of the sacrifice made by our members. Some of the participants here this evening have even had the privilege to serve with the fallen. Senator Brown, Representative Capter, and Mayor Collins are also here today, representing all the citizens of the United States, the state of Ohio, and of Toledo. There are other federal, state, and local elected officials here this evening in attendance. We're also joined today by the Toledo Fire Rescue Department, the fire chief, his command staff, and many of our retirees. IAFF union officials representing all the professional firefighters throughout North America are here to share in our grief and our fellowship. Further, as we honor our members, our city remains safe. Firefighters from our surrounding communities are helping staff Toledo fire stations so that members could be here this evening to pay their tribute. I want to thank you all for your overwhelming support to the families of our fallen brothers, to the fire department through these very difficult and challenging times, and of course for your presence here tonight.
It is now my honor to introduce our first speaker for this evening. United States Senator Sherrod Brown has stood with firefighters for over 30 years. The original sponsor of the Firefighter Fatality Reduction Act of 2009 and a champion of the Fire Act and Safer Grant programs, Senator Brown has made the safety of first responders his priority. And now it's my honor to introduce you to Senator Sherrod Brown.
Thank you, Chief Kaminsky. If there's one thing that senators are supposed to be good at, it's to talk. But on the trip back home just a few hours ago from Washington, I struggled to think how to fully express the sympathy and gratitude of all of us. I can't, of course. I'm humbled to stand before the families of the two men we honor tonight. My heart and prayers go out to each of you. Jamie's family, Jamie, daughter Paige, son Grant, parents Greg and Linda, sisters Caitlin and Olivia, Steve's family, parents Ken and Sharon, brother Rick, sister-in-law Terry, sister Beth, brother-in-law Chris, and his beloved niece and nephew, Grace and Brandon. And of course, Jamie and Steve's larger family. It's Local 92, it's the Toledo Fire Department, it's all of you who run toward danger, and it's all of us who are in your debt. This family, this city, support those who serve, like Steve and Jamie and their brothers and sisters in Local 92. Their support is evident by this packed room and by the outpouring of love and support this community has seen from across Ohio and the country over the last few days. It's evident from the people who packed into historic Church of St. Patrick last night, from the dozens who are cooking meals for the families in the firehouse, from the signs of love and support displayed on billboards and windows all over Northwest Ohio. It's been said that integrity is measured by whether you respond to the calls of your neighbors when they are needed. While we as civilians run away from danger, firefighters rush in towards that danger. And they run towards each other, towards their fellow firefighters in times of need. Sure, it's their job, but it's also their duty, and they accept it willingly. Steve and Jamie had that integrity. Jamie's family was the light of his life. His 3-year-old daughter, Paige, was always with him, and he couldn't have been more proud of his 1-month-old son, Grant. It was his dream to marry you, Jamie. And his other dream was to become a firefighter for the Toledo Fire Department. As we know, he started working in Perkins Township in nearby Erie County, but his dream was always to come to Toledo. Not many people can say they lived their dream, but Jamie could. Jamie absolutely loved being a firefighter. The only thing he loved more was his family. Steve was described as the ultimate firefighter, and he could not have been prouder to serve his community, this community. He graduated from Owens with a degree in fire science. He joined the fire department in Toledo in 1998. He was a sports fan, always rooting for his beloved Tigers. I'm told Steve's talents were on display inside the firehouse, especially in the kitchen, where he really let loose. He was an enthusiastic cook. He liked to tease other firefighters who tried to outdo him in his cooking. Those who knew Steve tell me that his family, especially his parents, and especially niece Grace and nephew Brandon, were most important to him. In a love of public service in the Machcinski blood, Steve's brother Rick is a firefighter in nearby Fort Wayne. In an act of selfishness, the Machcinski family has asked that donations be given to a memorial fund for Jamie's family. The love that Jamie and Steve had for their families and their communities knew no bounds. We know they gave the last full measure of devotion to all of us. There's an old saying, all men are created equal, and then a few became firefighters. We honor 2 of those few tonight. 2 men gone, 2 men, 2 heroes gone too soon from their families and their community. A devoted father and family man, a committed uncle and avid cook. Father Michael Judd was a chaplain to the New York City Fire Department. He gave his last sermon on September 9th, 2001, 2 days before he was killed, along with hundreds of firefighters in the World Trade Center. Here's what he said in his last sermon. That's the way it is. Good days and bad days. Up days, down days. Sad days, happy days, but never a boring day on this job. You do what God has called you to do. You get on that rig, you go out, you do the job. No matter how big the call, no matter how small, you have no idea of what God is calling you, but God needs you. He needs me, he needs all of us. Father Judge continued, God needs us to keep supporting each other, to be kind to each other, to love each other. Jamie and Steve never doubted the risk of being a firefighter. They never doubted their call to service. These acts of selflessness and heroism are the definition of who these men were. For all that, we are oh so grateful. Thank you.
Last November, the citizens of Toledo elected a new mayor. And during his short tenure, D. Michael Collins has shown his unwavering support of Toledo firefighters. As a retired police officer himself, Mayor Collins understands the importance of the service that we provide and the grief that we feel at the loss of our two brothers. He He has been with the fire department throughout the tragedy. He stood shoulder to shoulder with us at the hospital as the staff of St. Vincent's Hospital worked tirelessly to save our brothers. He has offered the help of his office and the warmth of his personal assistance. Toledo firefighters will never forget the actions of Mayor Collins. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of the City of Toledo, the Honorable D. Michael Collins.
Good evening, and to the families, always know that my thoughts and prayers will be with you. It will always be with you. Before I had the honor and privilege, as Chief Machcinski said, of serving as a councilman and now the mayor of the city of Toledo, I spent 8 years of my life as a police officer. In those, in those public safety positions, a bond is created, a bond is shared, and a bond is embraced. And that is the bond that is amongst those in public safety. It is a career, but it is also a vocation. And most importantly, it is a profession. The duty of a police officer is to protect. The duty of a firefighter is to rescue. This, as Senator Brown said, creates an environment where those professionals run into harm's way. Well, most, if not all, would run away. Firefighter Stephen Machcinski and firefighter James Dickman, or Jamie, on the 26th of January fulfilled that same mission that police officers and firefighters do on a daily basis. They did that because that is what a professional firefighter does. Since January 1st, our fire and rescue operations in Toledo, Ohio, have had over 300 fire runs. So on the 30th day of January in 2014, it's an average is 10 a day. Each man and each woman, each professional member of Toledo's fire and rescue team, fire and rescue department, fire and rescue professionals, face the unknown because fires are not predictable. In fact, fire is a beast, and taming it is oftentimes extremely challenging and difficult. As our community mourns the loss of these two fine professionals, they deserve, and rightfully so, the title of heroes. And I would suggest to the family and to the brotherhood and sisterhood, indeed, healing will take place, but healing will not be a rapid experience. The gaping hole in the hearts of you tonight will close, but ever so slow. The events of Sunday will never be forgotten, and that hole will never be closed. And that hole extends beyond the immediate family. That hole is a hole found in each one of us here tonight. It will take time, but passing of time will decrease but never eliminate the hole that I have just referenced. In closing, I would like to share a portion of a hymn that I came across this afternoon in preparing for one of the most difficult experiences I've ever had in my life. His eye is on the sparrow. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my partner, my constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He's watching me. Thank you. And may the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you, and may their souls and all the souls of the faithfully parted rest in peace. Amen.
Our next speaker was appointed to the fire department in 1984. He quickly rose through the ranks and now serves as the fire chief of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department. He was also at St. Vincent's Hospital to offer support for the members of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department. And over the last week, he has helped everyone deal with this tragedy. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Luis Santiago.
As the fire chief of the city of Toledo, the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, I'd like to express my sincere sympathy and condolences to the Dickman family and the Machcinski family. I'm going to be giving out a lot of thank yous this evening. The first one I want to give out to is to the Machcinski family and the Dickman family. We've spent some time together at the hospital at St. V's on Sunday night. A couple days later with the Machcinski family in their home. And today at Cedar Creek with the Dickman family. We spoke about James and Stephen. And I think it was best to talk about those kinds of things in the intimate setting we had. So I'm not going to say much about Steve and James as I sit here today. They know how I feel, and I know how they feel. But my first thank you is going to go to the two families. Because as we spoke, by the time I was done speaking with them and interacting with them, they seemed to be concerned about me. They were very concerned about our department, suffering a great, great loss of their own. I was talking this week to two great families. I instantly realized what it was all about as far as James and Stephen. I instantly knew where they got it from. You are two very, very solid families. And that's why Stephen and James were such good fits to our department. So thank you, what you have done for me over these past couple days. As far as James, he was just hired September of last year. But because of his training, because of his certifications, he got out on the line sooner than probably half of his class. So he hit the streets early. During something like this, you try to anticipate try to recognize all the collateral issues other than the obvious. And as a fire department, I think we're doing pretty good at that. I think there's enough of us that are trying to stay aware and address all our challenges. I had the opportunity to go out to the academy the other day, and I spoke with the remaining classmates of James Dickman at the academy because they're still going through EMT training. And it was a good conversation. It was really good to spend time with them. But towards the end of the conversation, they asked, what can we do? What can we do to help Jamie, help Jamie's family? You can tell that Jamie, even though they haven't spent a whole lot of time together, meant so much to him. And I told them, you know, you're going to see what you see. This is quite impressive. And the support and love that they're getting now and will be getting the next couple of days is really overload. I mean, it's just a blur for them. They'll look back on this and say, boy, I don't remember half the conversations I had. But I did tell them the proverbial Monday morning will come, where everybody that's traveled here would have already gone home. Within the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, we would resume our lives, our engine house lives, our normal lives. I told that class that is the start of when they need you. So I commit to you, and they've committed to me too, and many, many members of the fire department for both families. Stephen and Jamie might be gone. They might have left. But they'll always be part of our family. And both the Machcinski family and Dickman family will be with us as well. Stephen, hired in 1998, if you've heard from many, is a big sports fan. I had the opportunity to work with Steve when he was at 13s, and I was a relief battalion chief on C shift. So I didn't only have the opportunity to work with him, I had the opportunity to live with him, spend time with him. Being the Michigan Wolverine fan that he is and the Ohio State fan I was, we had some interesting conversations, I won't lie about that. But we always respected each other's position in sports, and he was very knowledgeable in sports. He was great to talk to. When I read in the paper his quote early on in his career when he said, "Can you believe they're paying us to do this?" I could see him saying that. He was that kind of guy, that kind of love for the job. And that's infectious. That's why so many people love to work with him, love to be with him. I'm going to start with my thank yous. My first thank you is going to go to the city of Toledo and the surrounding communities. I can't tell you just myself the acts of kindness and expression of words and thoughts that I have heard, and I'm sure our firefighters have felt the same thing. They have fed us till we can't eat anymore. I spent a little bit of time this past days. One day I stopped for an early breakfast at Rick's Diner, and he was telling me that there was a group of young firefighters, looked like they might have been recruits, that were eating breakfast. And there was a doctor in there that saw that they were obviously Toledo firefighters and wanted to buy their breakfast. He was too late because somebody else already paid for it. That's very humbling. It brings you to your knees. So when they say Toledo strong, That's no lie. That's real. And that's a great thing to be a part of. To the city administration, I can't thank you enough. Obviously, these have been some very challenging times, and as Chief Kaminsky stated, Mayor Collins, along with Deputy Mayor Reinbold, they were with us for hours, and it meant a lot. So thank you. To the out-of-town firefighters that have traveled today to pay their respects. You know, I've been to my share of these ceremonies. Been to Philadelphia, the Meridian Plaza when they lost 3 firefighters. I attended the firefighter fatalities in Coleraine when they lost 2 firefighters. Again, I went to Philadelphia for 2 firefighter deaths when a wall collapsed. I went to the Charleston 9. They lost 9 firefighters in a furniture fire. And many, many of our members traveled to FDNY to pay respects for a lot of those 343 firefighters that were lost. I knew it was the right thing to do and go support those departments. Had to be a very difficult thing they were going through. But when I was doing it, I thought I knew what they were going through. I know they were going through a very tough thing. I can tell you as I stand here before you, I had no clue. It means a lot to see all of you from all over the country, from Canada. So now that I truly understand what it means, all I can say is thank you. It's truly overwhelming and humbling to see all our brothers and sisters from all over the country and even from beyond our U.S. borders. To our retirees, I've seen a lot of them here. A tradition in the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, any time a retiree passes away, we have a last alarm service. And I will tell you, our retirees are solid. They are there for those families, and it means so much to those families. And now this is no exception. So to you retirees, thank you so much. Last but not least, members of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department. From the actual rescue attempt to all the firefighters that were at the hospital, and to the fact that we continue to answer every alarm while this was all going on. Let me tell you, you performed amazingly. As I told you at St. V's, many of you, when we were going through our darkest time, you have shined the brightest. Can't tell you how proud I am of all of you. I will end by saying this. Many people have come up to me and have told me, boy, I'm glad I'm not you. I couldn't do it. It's pretty difficult. I am sure glad I'm not you. I've heard that from members of the public, even some members of our fire department. And I didn't take that disrespectful or cowardly. I understood what they were saying. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's been difficult. And it hurts. We're all hurting. In a lot of different ways, for a lot of different reasons. But if being me is someone who is leading this group and has the honor and privilege of being with these extraordinary men and women, I'm okay with being me. To the chief officers, captains, lieutenants, firefighters, recruits of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, I couldn't be more proud of your performance. Toledo has one of the greatest fire departments in the country. And all these that I've gone to, the chief says the same thing. I happen to think I do have the best fire department in the country. Thank you so much for what all of you do, from outside our department and inside our department, every day. And for our department, thank you for making a difference every day.
Since 1918, the firefighters in Toledo Fire and Rescue Department have been represented by the Toledo Firefighters Union IFF Local 92. For the past 4 days, President Jeff Romstedt has been everywhere with the families of our fallen heroes, tending to their needs, as well as assisting with funeral arrangements to make sure that the wishes of each family are honored. Jeff has worked tirelessly, visiting fire stations every day to address the needs of his membership and their families. It is my pleasure to introduce Local 92 President Jeff Romstedt.
We are here to commemorate the lives of two of our brothers, two of our best, Steve Machcinski and Jamie Dickman. On behalf of the 525 members of Local 92, thank you for being here this evening, and thank you for your support. To Steve's family, Father Kim, Mother Sharon, his brother, Fort Wayne firefighter Rick Machcinski, and his sister Beth, and to Jamie's family, Jamie, his wife, daughter Paige, and Grant. Thank you for allowing me to be before you and remember the lives of your loved ones. They were special to us too, and they'll never be forgotten. Steve and Jamie were not just fellow firefighters, co-workers. They were our family as well. The Toledo Fire family is one with deep roots and strong traditions. So this tragedy has hit us all very hard. Local 92 appreciates all our brothers and sisters who have traveled from across the nation, from Canada, to come here this evening to help lift us up in this time of mourning. It is never easy to say goodbye. The one word that I would use to describe Brother Steve Machcinski is steady. He was even keel. You can count on Steve. At a fire, he knew his job, and he did it well. If we needed help at charitable events, Steve was there. The best compliment I believe I can pay Steve, it may not sound like much, but to all of us who share this profession, it means everything. Steve was Importantly, I know Jamie loved his wife and kids. I have no doubt that Jamie would have been a great asset to this local and to the citizens of Toledo. As I conclude, take a moment to recognize my membership. my brothers and sisters of Local 92. You have not let this personal tragedy affect your professionalism or your dedication to the job. I cannot tell you how proud I am of all of you. Even in sadness, you have continued to stand guard over the citizens of Toledo. And that may be the best way to honor the memory of Steve and Jamie. To remain committed to the noble cause to serve. Thank you for all that you do. I also need to say thank you to President Schaeberger from the IFF, President Sanders from the OAPFF, to Mayor Collins and all of his staff, to Chief Santiago and his entire staff, to my executive board who has worked tirelessly, as all of us have. And I would be remiss to not mention thank you to the Toledo Police Department for the brotherhood that they share with us. I say thank you and God bless.
Representing the International Association of Firefighters is General President Harold A. Schaeberger from Washington, D.C. The IFF, which is 300,000 members strong, represents the professional firefighters in every state and province throughout the United States and Canada. At the end of General President Schaeberger's tribute, he will present to each of the families the IFF Medal of Honor. This gold medal is awarded to the families of IFF union members who are killed in the line of duty. The memorial medal bears the words dedication, honor, and sacrifice. This medal has been awarded to 2,206 IFF members killed in the line of duty since it was established in 1990. Ladies and gentlemen, Harold A. Schaeberger.
To the immediate families and friends of IFF Local 92 members, Toledo firefighters Stephen Machcinski and James Dickman. To Steve's brother, IFF 124 member, Rick Machcinski, a dedicated firefighter himself in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And to those in uniform here today who served with Steve and Jamie in the TFD. From the entire executive board of the International Association of Firefighters and from all 300,000 members, the women and men of the IAFF across North America who serve their communities and their nations, we offer our eternal gratitude and prayers. Most days when Steve and Jamie went to work, when their sisters and brothers in Local 92 go to work, it's the citizens of Toledo they are helping that are usually and potentially in the most danger. That's what this job is all about. The firefighters of TFD are there to help the citizens and the city they serve. They respond to auto accidents, fires, natural, man-made disasters, tough situations where they make life or death decisions in medical emergencies. It's a dangerous job. They know that. But it's a job they all signed up for. But on January 26, around 3:30 p.m., inside a 6-unit apartment complex on Magnolia Street, next to the Huron Market, the tables quickly turned on 2 highly skilled and tough firefighters. Circumstances deteriorated fast, and the risks they were willing to take so others could live caught up with them. Whether you understand why Jamie and Steve entered that building with a charge line last Sunday, they knew why they were there. It was their calling. It's what they trained to do. It's what they always do. And it was all they ever wanted to do. It was doing their job, and they loved their job. And they knew what they were doing. Steve with more than 15 years in this department, and Jamie new to Toledo, but with 10 years responding in Perkins Township, IFF Local, 1953. They were living their life of honor, living their code of defending the lives of others, attacking the fire, beginning the search of that apartment for potential victims, loyal to the very end, doing what is as noble of a calling as any on the face of this earth. But on that day, they were put in a situation they couldn't overcome. And Steve and Jamie were lost to us. As is all too clear today, as we celebrate the lives of two of our fallen brothers, this job can humble you, and it can break your heart. One day you're home, Steve at Tigers or Mud Hens games, at the bar with his friends, or hanging out with his mom and dad, Ken and Sharon, at his brother Rick's or his sister's Beth, or playing with his beloved niece Grace and nephew Brandon. And Jamie, at home with Jamie, his loving wife, or playing with his daughter Paige, and beaming over his new son Grant. All the loves of his life. Then the next day, you're at work. You're making runs as you always do, responding when those tones sound, when the next call comes. Rolling into a working fire you've faced scores of times before. All those here in dress blues around us today, especially Rick and our Toledo Local 92 family, are hurting deeply. But they also understand that the sacrifice that Steve and Jamie made is the one they understand every one of them could have faced. But they'll go to work on their next shifts, and they'll think of their brothers they lost. They will think of the families of their brothers. But every single one of you will do your jobs, again willing to put your lives on the line without a selfish thought. Now I know to those outside our profession, it sounds almost incomprehensible. Maybe some, it sounds inexplicable. But that's because most people don't fully understand. They just can't grasp the culture and the incredible bond of our profession, where we live together, we work together, eat our meals together, coach each other's kids, and put our lives in each other's hands. All you have to do is look around this arena. The proud symbols of our profession are displayed. The pipes and drums playing touching songs of remembrance. The honor guards marching precisely, then standing at attention. There's black bunting on the ribbons. The procession of rigs takes place. And saluting firefighters honor those they've lost. Every one of those traditions and symbols is what's part of the bonds that keeps us together. It was what bound Steve, Jamie, and the men and women of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department. But it is also that tradition, that life, with the risk and the potential dangers involved, that creates this hard to understand and almost unnatural bond. A bond that means you can't be selfish because you have to be there for your comrades at that next worker. You have to have their backs, and you know they'll have yours. Our members of Local 92 will jump on those rigs again and again and again. They will rush to the scene of the next incident, and they will continue to rush in, respond to the needs of this city, its citizens, and they'll continue to save lives. It's what they've chosen to do. The legendary Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes said, quote, "It's faith in something, an enthusiasm for something, that makes a life worth living." Like their brothers and sisters here in Toledo, Jamie and Steve, the tenacious firefighters we lost in that apartment on Magnolia Street, had the faith, had the enthusiasm, lived and served for others. Their lives were worth living. They were devoted to their families and had faith in all of you and all of us. They chose putting themselves in harm's way, protecting the citizens they've served as their profession. And they loved what they did. It is that thought that I hope the families of Steve and Jamie will carry with you as you leave here this evening. And I want you to know that we will honor you and our fallen brothers. We'll engrave their names on the walls of our beautiful fallen firefighter memorial in Colorado Springs this coming September, in the shadow of Pikes Peak, where the story of their lives, their courage, dedication, and sacrifice will be told to generations of firefighters to come. And I hope you will always remember, as we spoke earlier this evening, that this firefighter family is here for you. This IAFF family is here for you, not just today and tomorrow. And when all the news turns to the next story, we will be here for you for the months and years to come. Thank you for sharing your loved ones with us. We will miss them greatly. To Stephen Machcinski and James Dickman, you have answered the final alarm. You have served your city well. Thank you for the gifts of your lives. May you rest in peace. God bless you, and may God bless every firefighter on the front lines everywhere.
walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
We often say that our profession is a family, a brotherhood, and a sisterhood. And many times that family begins in the fire academy. That was especially true for our next speaker and our fallen brother, Stephen Machcinski. They started in the fire academy together in 1998 and have been like brothers ever since. Steve and Jim have shared many fire station assignments together. And here to honor Steve Machcinski is Toledo firefighter Jim Schwartz.
I'm going to start tonight with something that Steve's sister Beth shared with me last night. While spending time with his family over the holidays, Beth remembered Steve talking very highly of the new guy at the engine house. She recalled that that was something Steve rarely did, talking about new guys. And while that firefighter may have been new to the Toledo Fire Department, he had many previous years of experience as a firefighter. Of course, Steve was speaking of Jamie Dickman. The Machcinski family would like to extend their deepest condolences to the entire family of our fallen brother, Jamie. The Machcinski family wanted everyone to know that being a firefighter was the only thing that Steve ever wanted to do. Steve earned his fire science degree and took fire tests all over the area, hoping to be hired as a firefighter. Steve and his family were thrilled when Steve was hired by his hometown, Toledo Fire Department. 14 years ago, someone thought it was a good idea to put two rookies together on a rescue. As Steve and I drove around East Toledo, jumping runs, a structure fire was dispatched. As we responded to that structure fire, with the lights on and the siren blaring, Steve looked over at me with his huge Steve Machcinski grin and said to me, "I can't believe we're getting paid for this." Steve absolutely loved being a firefighter. Next, the Machcinskis wanted everyone to know how important family was to Steve. He was a loving son, a caring brother, and an awesome uncle. Steve's parents told me that they tried to talk Steve into becoming a gym teacher. But after a year at the University of Toledo, Steve came to them with a huge grin of his and told them he was going to enroll in the fire science program. His brother Rick, a fellow firefighter, will miss the talks they shared. Like all firefighters, those talks usually turned towards the job. Beth talked about how Steve was always there for her, no matter what, and how greatly he will be missed by his adoring niece and nephew, Gracie and Brandon. They love their Uncle Steve. At this time, I'd like all firefighters and retired firefighters in the audience to please briefly stand. Steve also loved his second family, his firefighting family. And as you look around the room tonight, you can see what an amazing family that is. The Machcinski family would like to thank each and every one of you for what you do. Thank you. Steve's family knows how firefighters like to drink an occasional beer. Steve's birthday happens to be March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Therefore, Steve got to celebrate two great occasions on one day, and boy, did he like to celebrate. So please think of our fallen brother, Steve Machcinski, this St. Patrick's Day when drinking that cold beer. Last, the Machcinskis would like to give their heartfelt thanks for the overwhelming love and support received from family, friends, firefighters, and the community over the past few days. Rest in peace, Steve and Jamie. We love you and we miss you.
Every one of us knows that training is at the heart of what prepares us for this very dangerous job. With a lifelong dream of being a Toledo firefighter, Jamie Dickman clearly helping him realize that dream was the person who oversaw his training when he donned his fire gear as a Toledo firefighter. Ladies and gentlemen, Battalion Chief of Training, Sally Glombowski.
When people close to us die, it's as if a part of us has died too. Because part of our identity comes from each and every one of our relationships. And that fact really hits home today because of our profession. We really are a brother and sisterhood. So I want to take a few moments to tell you some things about our brother, Jamie. I first met Jamie at a fire tactics class at BGSU State Fire School. I was one of the instructors, and he was a student interested in learning more about his craft. We hit it off back then, and I think there are two main reasons for that. One, his personality was irresistible. And two, we both have the same passion for fire service. Fast forward to the 2003 recruit class. I found Jamie to be the same passionate learner, only now I was able to see that he was also an excellent teacher. He took time with the members of his squad to make sure that they fully understood the new concepts, coming at them a mile a minute. In addition to his totally engaging demeanor, Jamie cared about people and wanted them to have a solid foundation when it came to fire. He wanted those around him to be prepared to do their best as he was. He was focused on the task at hand, never afraid to try something new or different. With over a decade of experience, he never made excuses or reminded other people that he may have done it differently on previous jobs. He was always excited to learn things the Toledo way and truly embraced it. Jamie was a happy, positive man with a story to tell at all times. He had a story for everything. In our realm, we would call him a topper. One more story to tell. Each one seemed bigger and better when he got on a roll. You could tease him about it though, because he was a funny guy and he loved to laugh. It's said that he seemed to live life to the fullest at all times. Jamie didn't seem to care about what other people thought of him. He was content with who he was as a person. So confident and self-assured that he would even use his wife's girly pink lunchbox, walking around with it, almost flaunting it, perhaps even inviting comments. No worries though, because he could take it as well as he could dish it out. Jamie, like all of us, was both simple and complex. His complexity showed itself in his creative nature. For example, when he fashioned an alligator-type creature out of an old hose kinker, it became an object of affection for his squad, Squad 3. Now, Leroy, as the alligator was named, also became one of the most sought-after tools in the eyes of the instructors. Jamie was so proud of the fact that this tool was never lost or misplaced by any of his squad mates. I believe he was reluctant to leave it behind when he transitioned to the line, while some of his classmates kept watch over it at EMT training. I say that Jamie was also simple because he was simply stubborn. when Jamie was working on the class motto, after several rewrites, he refused to make any more changes. Even after much pressure from instructor Kenningsecker, he flat out refused to change it. He refused to make it longer, as everyone had requested. And the motto, it is short and to the point, and in its essence, both simple and profound. Jamie, that confident, self-assured man who loved his family fiercely, who had great affection for his profession, and was so grateful for all of the blessings that he'd been given. He had a spirit about him that's tangible. We see it when he loved others and was loved in return. He was totally confident that he was in the exact place that God intended for him in this life. And he lived his life with passion and purpose. I'd like to quote Jamie in his hard-fought class motto. We fight with courage. We stand with pride. We honor those who gave their lives. That, my friends, was and is our beloved brother, Jamie.
For those firefighters that were chosen to help Chief Santiago present the families with challenge coins, please come forward. The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are forced to continually change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our mission. Our methods and goals remain the same as they were in the past, to save lives and to protect property, sometimes at a terrible cost. The fire service of today is ever-changing, but is also steeped in traditions that are over 200 years old. One such tradition of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department is the last alarm. Here to lead us in the solemn observance is retired Assistant Chief Robert Schwanzel.
I don't do this alone. With me here this evening is retired Battalion Chief Renzo Moraldo, and standing aside where the choir is retired firefighter John Repp, current curator of the Toledo Firefighters Museum, and John will help us by tolling the bell. It's been mentioned a couple of times this evening that there are traditions within the fire service. Traditions are used many times as symbols that reflect honor and respect for those who have faithfully served their community. And one of those traditions in the fire service is what we call the bell ceremony. The bell has a long tradition in the history of our country, our church, and in the fire service in particular. The sound of the bell can be both pleasant and at times disturbing. The bell is the first instruments to be used in a community to sound an alarm of fire. For many years, firefighters themselves both began and ended their day at the sounding of a bell. And one of those signals was to sound a bell 3 times to indicate that a job had been completed. From the record, Stephen A. Machcinski, date of birth March 17th, 1971. He attended Whitmer High School in Toledo, graduating class of 1989. He also attended the University of Toledo, and he had an associate degree in fire science from Owens Community College. His appointment to the Toledo Fire Department was March 20th, 1998. He was given at that time badge number 80. His assignment was station number 13 in East Toledo, Platoon C. Later, he had an assignment on the other side of the river at station number 3, again, Platoon C. Awards that he received. One incident was a life-saving award, March the 5th, 2001, for an incident that occurred at 902 East Broadway. His death date, January 26, 2014. It is appropriate now that we sound the bell 3 times and in honor and in memory of firefighter Machcinski. From the record, James A. Dickman. Date of birth, April 11, 1982. Education, he was homeschooled. He got his state certificate in the year 2000. He was employed first in the fire service by the Perkins Township Fire Department, serving there for nearly 10 years. His appointment to the Toledo Fire Department was September 3rd, 2013. At that time, he received badge number 50. His assignment when he left the academy, Station 3, Platoon C. Date of death, January 26, 2014. It is also appropriate this evening that we sound the bell 3 times in honor and in memory of firefighter James Dickman. And now we'll hear the last alarm from retired Battalion Chief Renzo Moraldo.
Thank you, Robert. Before I read the last alarm, I'd like to read a definition. What is a firefighter? It could be the person next door, a person's person with the memory of a young child. They have never gotten over the excitement of engines and sirens and smoke and danger. They are people like you and me with warts and worries and unfulfilled dreams. Yet they stand taller than most of us. But they put it all on the line when the bell rings. A firefighter is at once the most fortunate and the least fortunate of persons. They are people who save lives because they have seen too much death. They are gentle people because they have seen the awesome power of violence out of control. They respond to a child's laughter because their arms have held too many small bodies that will never laugh again. There are people who appreciate the simple pleasures of life, hot coffee held in numb, unbending fingers, a warm bed for bones and muscles compelled beyond feeling, the camaraderie of the brave, the divine peace and selfless service of a job well done in the name of all mankind. They do not wear buttons or wave flags or shout obscenities. When they march to honor a fallen comrade. They do not preach the brotherhood of mankind, they live it. The last alarm. Memory is a priceless heritage of the ages. It is the echoing of happy days, experiences, and emotion, fond recollections, beautiful traditions, friendships, and comradeship of those whose hearts were true. Today we are standing in memory of our departed brothers Steve and Jamie, who will never return from their last alarm. Reason tells us that they are dead. Memory tells us that they will be with us all the days of our lives, and our faith tells us that one day we will meet with them again. In the midst of their earthly activities, Steve and Jamie were called to their eternal rest. Obedient to this call, they laid down their task and with a fearless smile responded to the decree from the throne of eternal love. Within the blessed soil, their earthly remains will repose so that loved ones might visit there with fragrant flowers as token of affectionate remembrance. But the soul of our departed brothers are on the wings of angels bound for that far distant shore of eternal bliss, where Almighty God will hand them the priceless gift of eternal life. Each wind that sweeps back to us from those eternal shores will carry the admonishing words from our brothers who will seek to tell us that life is short and that time is fleeting. Their voices tinged with affection will whisper that it is best for earthly joy that we honor our parents, hold as sacred the veneration of God, practice faithfulness in all things, engender generosity to our friends, neighbors, and strangers within our gates, help the less fortunate and fill their hearts with kindness of tolerance and mercy, be true to our God, our families, and our country. And in all the days of our lives, let our hearts be softened with fairness and justice. When we too respond to our last alarm, we shall find our departed brother waiting to lead us to our Heavenly Father, who rewards those who love truth, practice charity, honor, and chastity, and stand with justice. With deepest reverence, brothers and sisters, let us bow our heads for a moment and say a silent prayer for the repose of the souls of Steve and Jamie and the souls of those who will never return from their last alarm. Departed through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.
Honor Guard, attention. Honor Guard, assemble. That's good. Give him a facing movement.
Honor Guard, right, face.
Fire dispatch to engine 3. Toledo fire dispatch to engine 3. Clear the air. Toledo fire dispatch to Stephen A. Machcinski and James A. Dickman on all call. On January 26, 2014, at 14:47 hours, Stephen A. Machcinski and James A. Dickman answered their last call for service. May God rest their souls. We'll take it from here, brothers. This concludes the last alarm transmission. Toledo Fire and Rescue Department at 20:51 hours.
Firefighters, attention! Present arms. Honor Guard. Order arms. Honor Guard. Take hold of the caskets. Honor Guard. Forward, march. detail. Halt. Casket. Face. Honor guard. Present. Arms. Honor guard. Firefighters. Order. Arms. Step away.
On behalf of Chief Santiago and the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, I want to announce that the badge numbers for James Dickman and Steve Machcinski will be retired as of this moment and will never be issued again. Firefighters, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending today. Please remain seated as our fallen brothers are escorted from the arena and their families, along with the members of the Toledo Fire and Rescue Department, take their leave of this memorial service. Thank you.